What's going on, summoners? In the next 10 minutes, you're going to learn how to play SIVIR like a professional, like a challenger, mate. So are we ready? So we're going to be covering your abilities, how they have changed since SIVIR got changed in 12.13. We're going to be talking about how to play the laning phase, how to play those team fights, and also your runes, your items, your summoner spells, everything you need to know about this champion in order to master her. So make sure you stick around for the whole video. And if you want more champion guides, guys, let us know by leaving a like down below, and also leave a comment on who you want to see us make a guide on next. And maybe the comment that gets the most liked, we will do a video on that champion, providing it's not Yumi. And if you want to take your learning a little bit further, guys, make sure you check out the GameLeap website in the description and comment section, because no one wants to be hard stuck. Everyone wants to improve and enhance their skills on the Rift. Well, we help you do that because we upload challenger tier, freshly made original content on our website daily. So by signing up and getting that exclusive access, you will get access to our library of content that will 100% help you improve in Season 12 and for the rest of your league careers. So check out those links down below, and let's get into the SIVIR guide. So first of all, we'll start by talking about your abilities and your passive, Fleet of Foot. So for your passive, you basically get movement speed when you hit an enemy champion with an auto attack or with one of your abilities. The only other thing to remember for your passive is that there is no cooldown. So each time you damage an opponent, it just keeps refreshing. Now, as far as your Q, your Boomerang Blade, this is your signature ability that you will be maxing first. So SIVIR will throw out her crossblade to where your cursor is aiming, and it will return to her, dealing physical damage based off how much AD you have. But this damage will also increase based on your critical strike chance, which is why we want to build crit in our items these days. And we also want to build attack speed because our Q's cast time decreases the more attack speed we have. Now, the first part of your Q travels faster since the rework, but the second part travels slower. And the other two important details to remember for your Boomerang Blade, you can Q flash, just like I'm doing here, and you can also flash to redirect the second part of your Q. So if an enemy champion is just out of line with you, you can quickly flash to make sure they die to the second part of your Boomerang Blade. Now, the next ability, your W, your Ricochet. Your Ricochet is the ability you want to be maxing second, and this hasn't changed all that much. You will still be ricocheting your crossblade to minions and enemy champions, but now up to 8 times per auto attack, and it will only hit the same enemy twice, no more, unless of course you were to auto attack again with your W active. And this also changed, so instead of lasting 3 seconds, it now lasts 4 seconds and also grants you bonus attack speed while it's active. Now, it's also crucial to know that your W resets your auto attack timer. So if you auto attack, then press W, you can auto attack again straight away. Knowing this will increase your damage output, so know it. And what's also quite fascinating is that your Ricochet will hit enemies in fog of war. So don't be surprised when your crossblade bounces into a brush. It means an enemy champion is in there. And it's also important to build critical strike chance with your W as well, because if your auto attacks when your W is active crit, then the bounces will crit as well, maximizing your damage output. Now, as for your E, your spell shield, well, this hasn't really changed all that much, but instead of refunding mana when you block a skill shot, it is refunding HP, and it also triggers your passive Fleet of Foot. And that's all you have to do. Press E when that Blitzcrank hook is about to hit you, when that Seraphine ultimate is getting charged up, and you're sweet. It's also good to note that it will block item abilities as well, like Everfrost Glaciate active, Gale Force's Cloudburst active, Stridebreaker's holding Slash active, and don't forget it will also block Dragon's auto attacks and the abilities of Rift Held and Baron Nashor as well. But do be careful using your spell shield for these objectives, because you won't have it for a team fight. The cooldown is longer since 12.13. Now, for your ultimate On the Hunt, this ultimate right here is a big reason why SIVIR, well, used to be anyway, popular in pro play, because it gives you and your teammates a big movement speed buff, which is now lasting anywhere from 8 seconds to 12 seconds, depending on the points in your ultimate. But that's not all, because this new version of On the Hunt, well, when you basic attack while it's active, you will reduce the cooldown of your basic abilities. So your Q, your W, your E by half a second for each auto attack. So this will allow you to throw out a ton of Boomerang Blades and Ricochets during team fights, and you should also know that if you manage to get a kill or an assist on an enemy champion while your ultimate is active, the buff duration, which is 8 to 12 seconds, remember, will get refreshed. So in theory, you could have your ultimate's movement speed going for potentially a good minute. And what's also great is that the cooldown got reduced too, so at rank 1, 100 seconds, rank 2, 85 seconds, and rank 3, it's only a 70-second cooldown. Now, as far as the laning phase go on SIVIR, there are a few kind of rules you have to abide by. So first of all, do not throw out your Q, your Boomerang, whenever you have it available. Otherwise, you will run out of mana very quickly and you are no longer a champion. So I want you to use your Q for 4 reasons. The first one, to pressure the enemy AD carry when they go for a minion. Number 2, to thin out a minion wave or hard shove a minion wave, and try to hit all the minions with your Q when you're doing so. Now, number 3, to last hit minions if you are 1v2ing because your support has had enough, or if you are behind and it's too risky to move up and auto attack, so use your Q's massive range to get that all-important gold. And lastly, number 4, to damage the enemy champions when your support or teammate CC them, which kind of goes without saying, because then both parts of your Q, the damage is guaranteed. And the same principles here apply to your W as well. Because of the hotfix nerf, so each point you put into your Ricochet, it's costing more mana to use, we have to be a little wiser when using it. So all of those reasons I mentioned for your Q, same for your W. For trading with the enemy AD carry when they last hit minions, to thin and shove waves, and to damage the enemy champions when your teammates engage. The only other big thing to remember for the laning phase for SIVIR is to understand that the best SIVIR players use their spell shield for the enemy bot lane or jungler's key ability. So when you're in champ select or the loading screen, you should be able to tell which ability or abilities on the enemy team are the most dangerous. So it might be a Thresh Hook, a Karthus Requiem, a Malphite Ultimate. Having this information stored in your head is a must, because if you don't know what's coming, you won't be able to react to it. Again though, just be very careful when your ear's on cooldown or you haven't skilled it yet at level 1 or 2, because that is when you are most vulnerable. But what about team fighting? What are the main goals when we are with our teammates and against 5 enemy champions? Well, the first major goal is to not die. So like I just said, pay attention to the enemy team's key cooldowns so you then know what you have to use your spell shield for. Now something else you should be looking out for, the timing of your ultimate. You can use this to catch your opponents who are in a whack position. You can use it to catch up to fleeing opponents after one of the enemy champions has already died. You can use it to escape a dangerous situation yourself, and you could even get fancy with it and use it to base race the other team or to get a big objective like Baron or Elder Dragon quicker. Remember, the cooldown is a lot shorter later in the game now, so you can use it more liberally and with a bit more creative flair. But at the end of the day, guys, you are an attack damage carrier and you cannot deal that damage if your screen is great. So your positioning in regards to the enemy champions is crucial and probably trumps any SIVIR specific tip in this video. So try to always keep one enemy champion in your auto attack circle at all times. So while you're hitting that one target, you are at the same time movement commanding in between auto attacks away from the rest of the enemy team. And I'd also say here, don't feel pressured to move into a dangerous position to queue an enemy champion who your supporter CC'd. Staying alive is just way more important. Now, what are you meant to build on this new SIVIR? So as far as your items, well, we want attack speed and critical strike chance. So for your first item, you want either Kraken Slayer or Gale Force. Now, I would recommend Kraken Slayer if you have appealing support like a Lulu, a Janna, or a Yuumi, and I would recommend Gale Force if you have an engaged support like a Nautilus, Leona, Alistar, because their last thought is peeling you, so you need the dash to fend for yourself. Now, as far as your boots go, always Berserkers Greaves unless the enemy team is like full AD. In that case, you can afford to go Steel Cats, but it's not a must. Greaves will work in every game. Now, the second major item you want is a Phantom Dancer. The attack speed, the crit, the movement speed, it just complements SIVIR's identity better than anything else, especially once you proc the Spectral Waltz passive. Pair this with your own passive and even your ultimate, no one will be able to touch you. Now, for your third major item, there is only one option, Infinity Edge. You will have 60% crit at this point, so the passive will proc, and it just enhances your damage output, which is what you want. Now, this is where it gets flexible because there are a bunch of items you can finish your build with. So Mortal Reminder if the enemy team has a lot of healing, Bloodthirster if you want a more offensive item, Guardian's Angel or Mercurial Scimitar if you feel as if you need a bit of defense, Navori Quickblades is an interesting option if you really want to spice things up and throw more abilities out, or you can even get more of Malmortius if the enemy team has a lot of bursty magic damage. Just look at the enemy team on the scoreboard, guys, who's fed, who is most likely going to kill you, and you build against it. Now, as far as your rune page goes, there is only one you legit need. That's it. How nice. So Lethal Tempo is your keystone, Presence of Mind so you don't go on the first wave, Bloodline, and then either coup de grace or cut down. So you go coup de grace if you're starting with a Doran's Blade, cut down if you're starting with a longsword. So Doran's Blade into those matchups where the enemy bot lane is engaging all inny, and then you want to be taking longsword with 3 health potions when the enemy bot lane is more poke based. And then for your secondary tree, you want Inspiration with magical footwear and biscuit delivery. Then you want attack speed, adaptive force, and armor or magic resist depending on the enemy bot lane for your minor runes. Too easy. And the last thing to go over are your summoner spells. Well, it's always going to be flash with something else. So what is that something else? Well, you have 3 options. There's heal, there's exhaust, and there's cleanse. And this completely depends on the enemy bot lane and team composition. So if their AD carry or bot lane synergy is very all-inny, so it might be Kalista and Nautilus, it might be Samira and Alistar, you can take exhaust. If their bot lane has a lot of CC, like an Ashe with a Leona or a Zyra or a Thresh lane, you can take cleanse. But if they have none of these things, or you're just unsure, take heal. It will always be good. So that was our ultimate SIVIR guide for Season 12, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Again, if you want more guides like these, let us know by smashing that like button down below. And until tomorrow's daily Season 12 upload, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well, by the way. This has been Coach. Peace.